I'm willing venture away as fast as I can. If I see one more post that says we're on day 73 of January, does anybody else feel like that? But then I planned so many things for February and I just looked at our calendar. I was like, that's next week. Oh gosh, that is now. So, give me 1 second. Let me find our lunch sponsor. Where did he go? I did just see him. He's bringing Mediterranean. It'll be here about 11:15. So everybody's hungry. It'll be here in just a few minutes. So let me. Ma'am, do you have a break for you? Yes.
Yeah. All right. Just what I had.
Mackie, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself if you want to stand in the middle so the camera can see everybody on Zoom. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and give them your spiel. I know you gotta run and we gotta get started, so.
Absolutely, guys. Well, I promise the next couple minutes we'll share relevant, impactful information that relates to your businesses and to your clients. If your clients can't get insurance, they're not closing on the loan. So insurance is something that we better be paying close attention to. And I've been in the business for 25 years and it's tighter now than I've ever seen it in my career. So now is a really good time to get involved, get acclimated to being part of the transaction instead of being the agents that just call when there's a problem. We get that plenty of those phone calls as well. Matthew, we're closing in a week, we can't get coverage or what have you. My name is Matthew Young. I operate Young Insurance Group. For about 23 years, I branded as Geico local office. And about a year and a half ago or so, 2 years ago, we branded as Young Insurance Group because so many clients were being referred to us by you guys, but they ended up calling that 800 number. They ended up going online where they have no physical representation. When you go online to an 800 number, they have no you or me. So we wanted to discuss about that we are an agency, but we actually still do represent Geico. So if you have Geico clients, chances are they didn't talk to a me. Chances are they went to a this. And I don't know about you guys, but it's like FISBO or do-it-yourself mortgage. Guys, work with a professional who's here to help you and basically know the things that you don't know. A lot of the things in insurance don't relate to common sense. For example, does it make sense if a tree falls in your home and you get dropped because the tree fell in your home? But that's the reality of our business. It can be a very demanding business, can be a challenging business. That's why you need experience more than anything to get through this, to navigate through this whole process. Because so many times I have clients call and agents call with this technical situation where you got two properties on one piece of land. Do you think a .com is going to get that right? The answer is not a chance, right? So that's why it's important. We do have a Spanish speaking staff. We're available until 10 p.m. every day of the year. Now, this morning, the client thought I was available at 6:58. 6:58 a.m., I'm not available. But about 8 or 9 o'clock, I am available. So that's what voicemail is for. So in all seriousness, like so we have a Spanish staff. We're also licensed in 3 states, North Carolina, California, and Virginia. But if you need something beyond that, I have connections nationally. So I want to emphasize you need something in Alabama, reach out to me. I can get you a connection certainly better than out of the phone book, if you will. And then again, as a broker, we can shop the market. And that's something I want to make sure that everybody's aware of, that brokers shop the market. Some brokers charge fees and some do not. We feel like that with the high interest rates, the high prices of homes, insurance rate, the last thing we want to do is add to your client's misery by charging them a tip of $100 or $200. Yet we've got companies out here right now charging clients that. So I want to emphasize, if you know who your clients are working with, you can protect them against that type of situation where they're not being charged extra fees. That you not do anything but go in the pocket of the agent. It's just a tip. So just be aware of that. In the last couple of weeks, I get those Saturday calls about the flood insurance. Matthew, it's Saturday at 4 o'clock. We're meeting with the client here. Can you tell me about flood insurance for this property? If it's going to be required or not? And I went on to elaborate about this, the ins and outs of that. We get phone calls Saturday afternoon. We're looking at a home. We can't get insurance on it. And I asked, well, why can't you get insurance on it? Well, because we don't know the age of the updates. So I'm a very straight shooter. I look at the address and I say, this home looks amazing. The roof was replaced years ago. And yet the only reason the client could not get insurance, even though the home was in impeccable shape, they didn't know the age of the updates. If that doesn't scream that we have potential problems on the horizon, and we already have some now, God, I hope that hits home. This client could not get insurance because she did not know the age. The actual condition was incredible. That is an insight, guys, a little portal into the madness that's facing insurance. So again, I'm available every day of the year by design until 10 o'clock. When you're meeting with your client tonight at 8 o'clock and your client has a question about unpermitted space, And the father-in-law said, "Oh, you know what, April? I heard that it's uninsurable. You can get the client on the phone with me. I'm gonna answer the phone and take that call." That's the service that we provide. And last but not least, guys, pull down the process. So you say, you know what, I want to make sure my clients are being protected against the unknown. And I want to know who they're working with. I'm going to refer them to a vendor partner, let's say it's Matt. Okay, great. Instead of just saying, here's his card, which kind of can result in some problems. About a week ago, I got a referral from the mountains, and this agent just simply told me, she said, this client will be calling. Well, the next day, the client, of course, in a shocking development, never called. So it doesn't happen. So in this situation, the shocking development occurred, and within minutes after I received the text, "Hey, do we have an update?" And I sent it to the agent. The update is your client's not called. Within minutes, magically, I had a group text introducing us, and you know what happened? Within a few hours, we had that quoted. Guys, so my moral story is any vendor partner that you're going to work with will thank you for saying this, and that is to be intentional about your process to connect. Just here's the number, it's not going to do it because the client doesn't know I'm available tonight. Tonight is Wednesday by my recollection. About 8 months ago, I was in Marksville, Davie County, up at my kids' football practice. I got a phone call from a private number about 7:30. I said, I don't normally answer it, but I answered it. And I'm glad I did. So it was Veronica. Veronica was moving from Japan. She's calling me at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The reason she knew I was available is because her agent group texted us. If her agent had not group texted us, would she have ever known that I'm available at 7:30 p.m.? Yeah, probably not. So again, I am here to be an open book, here to put my 25 plus years of experience to work for you guys, but I can't do it without your involvement. That means when you have questions, even if it's like, hey, my client just told this, I can tell you yes, or I can tell you no. Sometimes I get calls I can verify with authenticity and verification, and then other times the client is being told all kinds of surprises and shenanigans. So again, when you want the truth out, or what at least I know to be the truth, you get it with me. My number is going to be on my flag. I conveniently located beside the cookies. We're having show Mars delivered. I have some Greek food.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And so hope you guys enjoy that. I'd love to be able to serve that, but I've got to go do a Capra lunch myself now. So thank y'all for your time and attention. Please grab the swag. I've got glass cleaners. Make sure you grab one. That's the one much popular option altogether. And also we got a little mouse pad. You may want some mouse pad and some notepads. But again, I'm Matthew Young. Take my number, put it in your phone now. It's a great time to do it. That way tonight at 9 o'clock when you're phoning from my phone with your client asking a question, can we get insurance on this roof? Before your client walks away, before your client loses the deal, guys, talk to me. You'd be surprised how often clients lose out on homes that they think is uninsurable because the car insurance carrier they live with for 30 years says it's uninsurable. And you know what? In the reality, it's not uninsurable. You could have insured. But they never knew to ask because so many of your clients think the insurance is all the same. And it's not.
Well, and I'm gonna echo what he just said real fast because it's not been our practice very much to get involved with the insurance companies that are buyer's shoes, to be honest. Most of that conversation happens between the lender and the insurance agent.
Right.
We just had a situation on the team
Sure.
where the buyer could not get in touch with their insurance agent. Nobody could verify the age of the roof. The seller was selling it as an estate. She didn't know.
Yes.
The roofer would not even go out there until we could tell them the age of the roof. So anyway, ended up she couldn't reach her insurance adjuster for 3 days because it was after hours or whatever. Ended up delaying closing, ended up killing the deal because we could not verify the age of the roof, and nobody brought us into this scenario. But it's a long story because the delay ended up killing the deal. Long story long. We are going to have to be more intentional, especially with the insurance changes that have come down that he's talking about. We have to be more in touch with these insurance companies because they're no longer insuring roofs that are over 15 years old. Is that correct?
Well,
for the most part.
That's not true.
Okay.
So to that point, there's so much misinformation about roofs. So we have carriers that will not take roofs over 10. So for example, travelers will not take my roof because it's like 15 years old. It looks straight, so they won't take it. So some carriers will take up to 20, but they've got to have it to be an architectural shingle from 15 to 20. By and large, you're going to find very limited options for carriers over 20 years of age for roofs. However, let me be very specific here. We have carriers that will insure it at replacement cost. That's important to note. Replacement costs over 20 years if it's in good condition. If it's in bad condition, they need a new roof. If it's in good condition, we've got this. But the inspection is done, this is important, after closing. Many agents are not aware, many clients, they don't understand that when they get this quote for $400 a year, that's ridiculous. It shouldn't even be happening. That's not even worth the paper it's written on, because when the insurance company sends the inspector out after closing and they find out that the roof's tattered, they're going to drop that policy. So you know how fun it is for your client to get dropped off the closing. That's why we're so intentional to get involved up front. But to April's point, I can tell you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. And the tragedy is what I'm hearing her tell me closing delayed. I'm thinking avoidable.
100%.
We were available till 10 o'clock every day throughout this whole sequence. We could have been utilized, but we weren't. And again, that's just the art of the possible. That's why I'm here. That's the whole premise of getting involved, guys. So to your point, I get it. Agents have not been involved in the past. But when you hear anything, if you just want to verify, you get a quick text. Shoot me a text, guys. I pride myself on being accessible and being not to be a support sheet. Not just to be here today, but to be here to answer that question. It's like an on-call legal helpline or medical helpline. That's what I'm here for. But make sure you got the swag. Thank y'all so much for your time and attention. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if you're old enough to Micro Machine Man, or whatever the cars were. We're gonna talk like that today because we have some really amazing speakers and a whole lot of information to cover and write as fast as you possibly can. I'll just put it that way. So let me call up my amazing panel, Justin, Lauren, Lisa, and Caitlin. I'm gonna try to sit down. I may not, if I'm being honest. Nicole, I'm gonna turn this to y'all. Did it mess you up? She's not in here. I'm gonna wait. So I'm not just being nice when I say these are 4 rock stars that really crushed their first few years of business. That is putting it mildly. I'm gonna let them do a quick introduction and just how long they've been in the business, how many transactions approximately you've done, and one thing you wish you would have known when you got into real estate in your first year. So Caitlin, since you're here, I'm gonna start with you first.
Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin Jackson. I'm the cosplaying realtor. I lean into my niche like it's nobody's business and they like it. This is my 4th year in real estate, and last year I had 15 transactions. 90 of them were from geeks like me. And gosh, what do I wish I knew? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like I'm doing what I know.
Okay, that sounds good. Lisa?
Hey, Luisa, Avenue Properties. I did 36 transactions last year. It was my first full year, so it was a little chaotic. And
A little bit.
I wish I knew was how chaotic. It's actually really, yeah.
Get a transaction coordinator.
Yes, I have one, and I cling to her. She's a backbone.
Yep. Wags. Her name is, we call her Wags. We had 2 Laurens when she joined the team, and she just became Wags, and we like it now. She's also women and wives, wives and girlfriends of what
I wish I wasn't.
Yeah,
That would be
lay on that.
I'll stand. No, but yeah, Lauren Wagner, I know pretty much all of you in here. I've been in real estate for 2 years, 2 full years now. I've done 52 transactions in those 2 years, 18 million in volume. And something that I wish I had known. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Let me start with the easy one, actually. Tell them what you were doing before real estate. That was my real question.
Well, like my friend over here, Luisa, that we just met and we're chatting about, but I was a stay-at-home mom. So it was a big adjustment for me. I had a career prior to having a child, and then yeah. So it was a big adjustment, and I thought it was like real estate meant like, oh, this is so easy, you can have your own schedule. No.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to make money and you want to produce, like you can't. You've got to stick to like a 9 to 5. So be the biggest thing.
All right, Dustin.
Hi, I'm Justin. Broker owner, Justin Daniel Real Estate, based out of Window. Triangle Producers Rising Star of the Year, Tom Ferry 30 under 30. I've been in real estate 2 years, 58 transactions, just under 17 million in volume. What I wish I knew is to detach yourself from the outcome of every transaction.
And what did you do before real estate?
I was a college student at NC State.
Well, and the reason I asked, and you had a baby as soon as you got into real estate.
I did, but my official job before that was I actually made cosplay via commissions for people online.
So the reason for that is everybody here is in different walks of life. Some people are straight out of high school. Some people are straight out of college, and some people, this is their first career. They've been a stay-at-home mom. And so I'm really excited about this panel. So you see different points of reference from not just where they came from. You know, my background was military before I got in real estate. There was nothing in me that thought that, you know, real estate was for me. And the first house I ever lived in was when I bought myself when I was 20. So it was something completely off the wall different from me. And you'll find that is the case for a lot of people. So no matter where you feel like you started, you're not behind anybody else. You're starting where you're meant to start for you in your real estate career. With that being said, we'll start with our lead generation because that's what everybody wants to know. And you guys feel free to talk up, talk out. What lead generation strategies have worked best for you, and how did you identify which approach was right for you? That's the number one thing people say when I interview new agents, when I'm talking to new agents, they're like, where do I get my lead? And I was like, well, let's define a lead first of all. So Caitlin, you want to start, or Lisa?
Yeah, all of that. Yeah. You wanna go?
I can, it's
Yeah,
fine. So last year, when I ran numbers at the beginning of the year, and 69% of what I did last year was sphere of influence. I pushed social media hard, mainly stories. People love stories for some reason. I don't know, but they just interact. But I didn't just like for a real estate case. It was a mixture of my kids, like what I'm doing, like crazy stories in real estate. Really, I shared it all. But that's really where a lot of my leads came from. One of my biggest listings last year came from that. And she had an agent, and I remember she owned a boutique, and I worked all the time. I would tell like I don't real estate, like I'm super excited, but I'm nervous. She's like, well, this is what my realtor did. Like, try this. But I ended up listing her house. So it was just from building the connection. She would watch my stories, and that's how I went listing because she's like, I see the hustle, like you're out there every day, I see the ground, like I trust you with this. Like I know you'll do it. So social media was a big one.
Well, mine's my niche, and you'll probably hear me talk about that a lot today because that's really where a lot of my leads come from. I actually have a booth at a monthly nerdy event, so nerds literally come to me. I steal their contact, and then I follow up until they need me.
Well, and I think it's important because there's a lot of people in here thinking, I don't have a niche. You know, I love that you cling to it, for the record. And, you know, I've tried to lean very heavily into military because I do have a little bit of background. I understand their needs with PCSing and things like that, even though, you know, I didn't experience all of it. I still understand and want to be relatable. And several of you in this room may not think you have a niche, but whatever you're doing that is interesting to you, guess what? The people that are interested in what you're doing,
That's right.
are going to automatically know and trust you. So if you have horses, equestrian people are the most loyal people you will ever meet in your life. If you work out all the time, get in with all the gym people. So whatever it is you're doing, cling to that. So don't think just because she has something, you don't have something. Be thinking of all the things that you have that is a niche. Sometimes people think a niche has to be so defined. It doesn't. What are you involved in? And I'm going to let Lauren take it on that note because she has gotten very involved in.
Well, I would say my biggest source of lead gen, I mean, I joined a team, so I had the opportunities and I took those and I tried cold calling, I hated it. But I would say my biggest lead gen is open houses. I convert a lot at open houses. And I pour into those past clients. So anybody that I've gotten over the years from Zillow or Realtor.com, I really pour into those, and that has now turned into, I just put a listing up yesterday from a past client. So, I mean, that's turned into a lot of like my lead gen is really honing in there.
She's already doing past clients in just 2 years. Like that sounds crazy, but that's the other thing. When you think past clients, it's not like, oh, I sold them something, so they're not going to buy for a couple more years. Your past clients, people, you stay, they will stay, you stay loyal to them, they'll stay loyal to you, and then they'd rather roll over than let somebody else use anybody other than you.
And I think that's a big thing too. Like the first in 23, that's really when I started fall. I left when I was like money on the table. I treated people like a transaction, but I was you, I didn't know. Don't judge me, okay? But then last year I was like, okay, let me write a thank you letter. Like, let me make this an experience for you. Like, yeah, first, and that's how I found my niche was first time home buyers. I really zero in on them. I work really well with them, like the babies. But like it really makes a difference. Because I actually met with somebody. It's a listing that I got. He called me fall 23, nurtured him for a year, but I would always answer when he called me. And I just poured value into them. I think that's a big thing too. I know that's a question that you asked about. It's just always being available, answer the phone. And I can't tell you the number of referrals I've also gotten from past people. People I haven't even worked with. The listing that I got this past weekend, I never met him in person. I just always answer the phone. And he sent me 2 people last year just from me just pouring value into him whenever he called me.
That's amazing. Justin?
A lot of my business comes from Spear.
Mhm.
I mean, I treat my business like a business. Everything is very consistent. We try to be very forward facing with our value, what we're bringing to our people in our circle. And then also just being very intentional with those relationships. You can ask my sister, my director of operations, like my nights, I'm at meetings, I'm with chamber stuff, I'm going here, I'm in all these alumni groups. You just have to be out and about, like in a very nice way. You have to be a politician and you have to go and politic and meet people, and just be available. And then social media, I get a lot of business from social media, whether that's agent to agent referrals, or sellers. I leverage all of my listings to bring in, buyer business, but also I get listings just because people are like, we saw how you marketed this property. Are you gonna do a video on our property? Are we gonna get that?
Yeah.
And that's always the first question. So, you have to treat it like a business, and we're a service-based business. Any service-based business is making outbound reaches every single day instead of waiting people to come in. You have to go out.
Yeah, fun fact, he was a political science major and was my political advisor. So I didn't know anything about politics, but he helped show me. But there are so many similarities in all of that. He's like, I want to be a campaign manager. And I was like, be my campaign manager. And it worked out because what I thought I knew about relationships, it's different, but most of it is still the same. So think of the things that you've been successful in your life already and take some of those same techniques, tools, what you did, and apply them to your business. So let's talk about the question that everybody loves to ask. What daily habits or routines have been key to staying consistent in your business? That is the #1 downfall of agents in their first 18 months. If you've never heard me say it, every agent's first year is either their best year or their worst year. And either way, it's going to give you a not true expectation of what your real estate career is going to look like. Some people jump in real estate and everybody they know wants to buy or sell real estate that year. I'm like, this is great. This is easy, easy. You're working with your sphere and it's amazing. Or you have $40,000 double edge you have to crawl over and drive an hour to get to, and you make like $34 on the entire transaction. And you're like, this is terrible. So either way, it's not representative of what your career is going to look like. So what do you guys feel like keep you consistent in your business?
Committing to the time block and following through with what that time block is. So like if my 15-minute is call paid leads, I'm calling the paid leads. If my 15 minutes is update a post on Instagram and reshare it to everywhere else, that's my time. And commit to that because that keeps you consistent in your activities, which I think goes back to what everyone said, but Justin just said consistency and following through.
I put everything in my calendar. I got very good advice that first year. That said, if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. So now we have an incredible CRM follow-up boss that I had started playing around with months and months ago. And I also, so follow-up boss in your calendar thing. So you can put all your, like literally everything for the day. Like this morning, I did 6 things, which was like following up with past leads. One of them texted me while we were sitting here and said, send my information to this lender. Let's see if we can make it work. So that is key. If it's not in your calendar, then it doesn't exist. And down to like literally picking Riley up, that's my daughter, because like, as I found in the last 2 years, the more hectic my career has gotten, this part over here can fall by the wayside. So it's a balancing act. But if it's in the calendar, then you know, like it's in the calendar, I have to do it. Like that's held me accountable. So
Mine literally says like carpool line,
yeah,
gym time,
yeah,
don't forget lunch.
literally.
Drink your water.
Text this person in 15-minute blocks. Justin had given me some really good advice one time too, that what did you call it? The production hour where you do 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you take a 5-minute break and then you do 15 minutes and a 5-minute break. And I implement a lot of that when I want to work on my personal stuff. And that was really like helpful to me when I would want to do Canva stuff or lead magnets, or I wanted to work on brochures, and because I like to do all that, I get swirled down a rabbit hole and not back to focusing. So I would take a chunk and I call it my power hour, and I would do that with my watch.
Well, and I think it's important, and Justin, this is what you're getting ready to touch on, but to take into consideration, it feels like, okay, well, I'm looking at these are moms, you know, we have schedules, kids got to be dropped off, kids got to be picked up. Believe it or not, in my opinion, it's even harder for a Justin of the world to be consistent, because what do they have to do every day? That's where most realtors struggle, because now you're an entrepreneur. What do I do with my hands all day long? So Justin, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, like, what else do you have to do?
Like,
Like, it's, I mean, we do 5 things. We lead generate, we lead follow up, we go on appointments, we close deals, and we practice our craft, scripts and role play. That's all we do.
Mhm.
I have someone to handle the 80% of things that bring me 20% of business, so I can do the 20% of things that bring me 80% of the business. Get out of the weeds, stop overthinking it, and just sit your ass in a chair and do the work. That's really all it is. Like, you just have to sit down and like call for sale by owners. You're not gonna book appointments the first week that you do it.
Mhm.
That's okay.
You develop a script over time. You know exactly what they're gonna say.
You have to, it's a muscle. Sales is a muscle. And you work out all of your other muscles every day, hopefully. You have to work out your sales muscle every day. So you literally just have to sit down and do it. Like, if you look at any mega anything, they just did the work.
And if you're with EXP, and I'll just say this because it's the brokerage I'm with, but if you're with EXP and you're not getting on the Kyle Whistle calls on Monday, or like the different like Zooms in Tina's office, and you're not going on the Facebook group and downloading the scripts, because they're all there in files for you. If you're not plugging into that and downloading this stuff, like, I mean, you're really missing out, because literally, like, I have a whole book at home with every script that Tina Call has ever put out in that access group, and they're all from Tom Ferry, every single one of them. Like, if you're not dialed into that and you're not doing that, you need to be doing that, because that right there is the biggest like wasted asset.
anything else, Tom?
No.
So with regards to personal growth and challenges, I'm really glad you just went there, Lauren. What is one lesson you learned early in your career that completely changed the way you approach real estate?
Bet on yourself. Like, I'm good. Yeah. I'm gonna bet on me every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, what else are you gonna like spend the money on? Like, going out and get drunk with your friends?
Invest in yourself.
Like,
And it's okay to walk away from business.
Sometimes, that's right.
Yeah.
For me, it's not everything has to be done immediately, because I definitely in that first year as a people pleaser, I'll answer the call now, I'll write that email now, I'll do that paperwork now. And I was feeling the burn after just a couple of months of behaving that way. And Tracy had to remind me, like, it's okay that not everything needs to be done right now.
That is very hard. I see that on our own team. I see agents send me a message and they have a question, especially like about new construction, and there's a process that happens. I'm waiting for the sub to get back to the builder, who's waiting to get back to me. And 2 hours goes by and they're texting me, did you see my question? Did you see? And I'm like, hold on. I know you're excited because you're in the, but there's a process behind the scenes that has to happen. And you're like, I'm busy now. I got to go be busy all the time. And it's that finding that balance. So with that, how do you balance the demands of being a new agent with your personal life? And I know y'all talked about that a little bit, but you're right, the burnout is real, whether you've been in it 18 months or 18 years, it still feels like you're constantly being pulled at. What are some ways that you guys try to create balance in your personal lives?
Transaction coordinator.
Time block. I swear by my time block in that calendar. Now that I'm in it, because I was not in that first year and a half, and everything was just chaotic. Now that I'm in it, I'm like, okay, this is me time. Friday, if I have nobody asking me for an appointment, I'm sewing. This is my decompression time, because I have to leave my weekends open to show houses and host open houses and do all the work that we do on the weekends, right? So commit to the time block and give yourself time.
I have a hard time with that one, actually, just throwing that out there. I will answer a phone. Somebody laughed at me recently because they're calling me. They're like, hey, what do I do with this deal? I was in the shower and I was like, do you care I'm in the shower? No one makes time, but I'll help you. And I was like, this is how I got what I got. So I personally cannot time block, because Monday I was like, let me try this. Let me see if I can figure this out. And literally, so I knew they were gonna go under contract. And I had 3 hours of, because I'm building a house. And I was like, I need to go pick out faucets. They're like, can you go see these houses? I know you'll submit an offer. Let's go see these houses. So personally, to me, don't ask me about time block or anything like that. Pounding the concrete 24/7, so grounding.
and that's another, but that's another good attitude, because some people are okay with that. I know that about myself. When people are like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, does work count? I know it's work, but I really like it. Like I do. It's okay that some of us really like to work. It's okay that some of us really don't.
But I think if you're checking in with your family, I think
Yeah.
that's the one thing I found that I didn't do that first like 18 months, but I've been really cognizant of recently is like having those conversations with my husband, sitting down at the beginning of the week and saying, this is like, this is what my week looks like now. We know that 3 of these things are going to change. He's used to it now. He's like, yeah, I can't go by any of that, but we'll just, right.
Let's get on paper.
Who's getting Riley? Who's doing what? We put her in after school 2 days a week to kind of give me now 2 longer days. He knows that sometimes like on a day that I'm on leave duty, like you don't, I'm not focused on this family at all outside, like, of course, I'm focused, but like, yeah, I'm on leave duty, so this is my day. I'll usually work an open house because I already know the phone's gonna ring and I prepare that. And then having those check-ins and like, I went away, just got back from being away for 5 days with my husband, and it was like amazing. And I literally did very, very little work. And so like, that's where I can find the balance. So learning that.
I think balance is a lie. I think you get out of it what you put into it. If you want to do 100 deals a year, you're not gonna have balance, and there's no balance when you're building either. So my family knows like when we go out of town, like I have to wake up and for an hour, I'm on my computer to get stuff done, so then we can go and do whatever that day. You have to be devoted to the calls every day. It's your business is a baby. When you're raising it, when you have a newborn, it's a lot of work. So the same thing with your business when you're building, there's no balance. It's a lot of work.
Well, and fun fact, Justin and I knew each other for a long time. And so when we met I finally bought a little place at the lake because I was like, I've got to get out of town or I will literally work 7 days a week. I'll work 8 days a week if it was 8. And they would laugh at me because they're sitting on the pier and I'm sitting out in the middle of the lake just on my phone. Like I'm talking to clients, but that's what had to be done. And I'm not going to tell anybody in this room that parent guilt is not a thing. It still comes with it. But now that my kid's 21, she can look back and say, you never missed anything. Yes, you had to work a lot. Yes, you were on the phone a lot. Yes, you did open houses on weekends, but we never missed anything. And she hasn't missed out on anything because of what I have been able to create. So I say there's no balance. It's integration. What am I willing to trade for? I'm willing to trade that I'm never going to be the mom that has dinner on the table when you get home anyway. Let's be honest. So those are things that you find what is a value trade. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to add, so in the subject of everything we're working on, Justin mentioned if you want to do 100 deals a year, right? So also a lot of what we're talking about, I think, is based on your goals. I don't want to do 100 deals in a year. Okay. My goal is somewhere between 20 and 25. I think that's perfectly fine and respectable for the life I want to live. So remember that and calibrate your activities for your goals, because what they're saying stresses me out hearing this right now. And I'm like, that's not what I want. So remember,
Jill talks about too, like she'll say like, guys, there is no, like Justin said, there's no balance. Like there's always going to be something in your life that is going to like be sacrificed. And sometimes it's your business and sometimes it is your family. And guess what? That is okay. It's not like you're walking away from your family. If it's a day, a week, because it's like 1 day a week out of that month that you're on leave duty, guess what? Your family is sacrificed that day. It doesn't make you a bad mom, doesn't make you a bad person. Like that's the way you have to look at it. You have to let yourself off the hook sometimes. If you have big goals, if you want big things. If you like, and what big looks like is different to everybody. Like you can't, because you will get so caught up in comparing yourself to everybody else that you won't look at yourself and say, you know what, I'm doing pretty good.
Heap of joy.
Like, don't think that like if you don't have 1,000,001 things, you just got your license, that you're a failure. You're not. I said it to him, I said it to Chris, and I said it to you. 3 to 6 months, give yourself that time. You will not do anything. Justin and I got our license at the same time, hit the ground running. We were here all the time. His first deal and my first deal, I think we made $5. Okay, like, and we,
After the time that was spent.
oh my God,
Yeah.
and you're just, but you know what? Guess what? It made me better and I learned. And from each time you do that, you get better and better and better. So don't compare yourself. Everything is a learning opportunity. Look at it like that. Don't be looking at everybody else saying, oh, you know, I'm not doing what they're doing. You've been here for 5 minutes. Well, if you show up, you're doing better than most of the agents in the triangle.
Not even that, and I get to say that because I get to look at 20 different people on my team that are in 20 different walks of life. And so if you take nothing from today, the biggest thing I say is do not compare your chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 2 or somebody else's chapter 20, because they're gonna look different regardless. I'm using you as an example because you're sitting right here. She has 5 children. There's no way that I could have done and built my business the way I did if I had 5 kids, and I don't expect her to either. So everybody has got a different plan and a different path. So just because they're up here spouting big numbers and this, that, and the other, same thing. Not everybody doing 30, 50, 100 deals a year doesn't necessarily make you happy or successful, for the record. Just because you're doing 100 deals a year doesn't mean you're making money. Trust me.
That was insane. I don't even know how to do what I did last year. And I was training for a marathon.
Okay, well,
But so,
like, okay, I can't sit next to you.
but again, that's something that gives her joy.
That's right.
The thought of me running is someone better be chasing me.
That's right.
But I'm not gonna say,
Okay.
but I'm not gonna say that one day I'm not gonna put run a marathon on my goals list. It ain't gonna be today, but that may be in that chapter down the road.
I don't know what was wrong.
Well, I will say motivation breeds motivation. Like
That's right.
when you succeed at one thing, you feel unstoppable.
You keep going.
Listen, I didn't have sugar yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, I can do this. This is gonna be a thing from here on out." I missed sugar one day, and honestly, I didn't eat because I was so busy. It wasn't even intentional. But I woke up this morning with new intention, like, you know what? Let's make it 2 days. I didn't have sugar. Justin, quit shaking your head. I can do
off the airway.
Nobody checking with me tomorrow. Okay, so if you could give one piece, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. If you could give one piece of advice to a new agent about building a successful and sustainable real estate career, what would it be?
Detach from the outcome and under promise and over deliver.
Mm.
Make it an experience.
Mhm.
Like give people something to post on Facebook about.
Yeah, do what
Like-
you love
That's right.
in the business.
Be genuine and love on your people. Really. I mean, just just be available.
I
Love
mean,
on them.
gosh, I appreciate everything that y'all said, and I agree with everything y'all said, because that's, I think, also how I function. I am here before you as I am, and I am here before all of my clients. We are immediate friends, and that's how the business flows in.
Genuine.
Mhm. Well, and just to piggyback on what they all said, loving on your people looks different too. You know, like Lauren's the queen of pop buys. Justin loves swag and events and stuff like that. And Luisa, like, I think you playing like ribbon cuttings at their closings and stuff.
Experience. People remember how you make them feel. I got these giant balloons that said like "Welcome Home," and it was really like their faces just like light up. And I didn't really think it was that important. I was like, let me just again like pour into them, like love on them, because at the end of the day, they really could have picked anybody, but they picked me
Mhm.
and trusted me. Or if it's a referral from a past client, like they trusted me with their person and to take care of them. But when I went to that listing, he was just like telling me like how bad the experience was with his agent. He was like, the pictures that people post online, like we didn't get anything. Like she sent us like a welcome mat on Amazon, and it was just like such a dry experience. So people remember how you make them feel. So I feel so bad for all my people from fall 23. It definitely felt like a transaction, but it was a lesson learned. Like I didn't know, and I think that's one big thing about real estate is people teach you chase the transaction, chase it, but they don't teach you like how to love on your people and how to get like referral business, like ask for the referral. Like have anybody asked for a referral? I didn't. I didn't fall 23. I never asked for it. But now last year I became that mid-year. I was figuring all the things out. I was very intentional to like ask for it, and I did, and I got a lot of business out of it, and I'm still getting business out of it this year already.
And just so you know, the best time to ask for a referral is right under they went under contract.
Yep.
They're all excited. They're on their high. They're going to buy a house. Don't wait till you're in DD to ask for a referral. Absolutely not. Or on the other side of it, because they're exhausted by that point. But to that point too, like the way they love on their clients is different. I have always been more of a phone call kind of person, especially I love older people. That's just my jam. I love my older, and I was telling a group yesterday, I literally had a woman put in her wheel to call me. And it wasn't because I gave her a gift at Christmas. It wasn't because I sent her a pop by or I did this. It's because I would call and check in every time I was in her neighborhood and see if she needed anything. And so this past weekend, I called and checked in on another client and we talked for 45 minutes. And she said, I know she's getting ready to pass away. And she said, I'm counting on you to make sure this is done right by my family. And that means that is what we are to people.
Yeah.
And we are not just a welcome mat, even though like Lauren is great at really thoughtful gifts. I have really great intentions. I have a box full of really thoughtful gifts that never get anywhere, to be honest. I know me, I'm better off just when I have an extra 30 minutes, let me just stop and ask you how your day is and how your family is. And so loving on your people needs to be genuine as to who you are. I try to be a good gift giver. It doesn't always happen that way. So I know that about myself. And, but it doesn't mean that you can't love on your people where they are and where you are.
And not everyone's gonna love you back. That's okay.
That's okay too.
It's all right. And it's okay to make mistakes. Like you keep saying like, oh, well, that first, but you know what? It made you better. Like, don't be afraid to make a mistake. Like there's a lot of agents that really just do not care about their job. Like they really don't. And I have seen that. And I'm not trash talking. It's the way it is. Like they'll talk to you like garbage. They're burnt out. They're this, they're that. So it's like, don't ever be afraid. Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to make a mistake. They're going to make mistakes. Like people makes mistakes still. Like everybody. It doesn't. I'm just saying, like everybody makes a mistake here and there. So like, don't be afraid to just make some mistakes along the way and learn from them.
Or to change. We change, your brand is gonna change, your colors, your look, how you nurture these people is going to change because you're learning, you're getting better, you're growing and deciding who you are. And it's okay if what Lauren does this year is not the same thing that she does next year because she decided to change. They're both still valid. So it's okay to continue to learn and grow what you're doing too.
I know I feel so bad sometimes because like I look at the gifts that my clients got like 8 years ago and I had a shoestring budget and even now they're not as elaborate. The swag that I buy, I'm always going to be frugal. That's just who I am. And so, but guess what? They don't care. Some of my clients will be like, I saw one of your mugs at a yard sale. I rescued it. It deserves a best home now. Because I give a mug as a closing gift. And some clients are going to sell it at a yard sale and that's fine. And others are going to think they need to rescue it. It's fine. All of it is fine. Okay, so what questions do you have of them? Talk up, talk out. We got a lot of new agents in the room.
I have a question. I know you're big
I've
on
got
open house.
a question.
Something I'm interested in getting into.
Mhm.
Are they particular to like a price point or all new builds, or should you go with new builds and also finding like
My first
sales?
year, I did whoever was on, like when I started and I had nothing going on. If we had a listing come into them, I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it every weekend. Sign me up. If it was new construction, sign me up Monday through Friday. I did probably 12 to 14 a month. It's a law of averages. But that it didn't matter price point. I didn't go for the highest price point. I just went for whatever was available because every open house I did, I learned something. I got better. People would come in and they would ask me questions and I was like, no clue. But guess what? I did make that mistake again. And I was like, oh, okay. So when people come in, they're going to want to know where the boundary lines are and like, what lines? So to know.
If there's a bit of pull in every time.
Literally, oh, leach, what? Huh? I didn't learn that in school. So like, literally, I'm like, but it made me better. So I just did them all. I did like real, like shabby, chic, cute little houses. And we had a listing that first year out in Apex that was like $1 million. And I did an open house in there and they want to be treated the same no matter what. And
The number 2 rules of open houses is know your house because they don't know that you were just there to pick up clients. They think you're the listing agent. They think you know everything when you walk in. So if they're asking you questions, you're like, I'm not sure. That's not gonna impress the buyer. So get to know that house intimately that you are doing an open house in. Go pre-read it before you show up. Market it leading up
That's a
to it.
great question. You know what? Let me just double check on that for you.
Yeah, I was about to say, or if you don't know the answer, because they're gonna ask stuff that you don't know, always say, I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. And it gives me, keep talking, keep talking. What other questions are you gonna have while I'm texting the listing agent? Let's go ahead. What else do you think? Da, da, da. And so it's just like they said, it's, I hate to say all this is on the job training, but this is why it's so important that you get as much education as possible, because we don't want to practice on our profit. But you have to, the only way to learn is to actually do it. If people, I literally, because there was no Facebook and stuff like that, because I'm now old in real estate years, I was Googling how to do an open house and just that whatever the internet told me, that's what it is.
We'll start.
Yeah. Nicole, I think we had one on Zoom. Heard somebody. What other questions?
Yeah,
You
that was
already
me.
don't figure-
Sorry, I think I was slow connecting.
What else?
Say something, if you, like, you said you did 50 some odd transactions and you did another 50 or whatever. You know, are you, I know you want to do another 50 in the next 2 years, or whatever, but what happens if you just don't do but 20? I mean, how does that make you feel? And
Like I.
Good question,
that's what
Jonathan.
I'm saying, like, does that make you feel like a failure?
I'm a goal setter, so I stick to that goal. Like I'm an accountability type A. If I say this is what I want to do, I figure it out down to the penny. So I'll say, this is how much money I want to make this year.
Yeah.
This is what, based on the last 2 years, this is what my average price point is. So this is how many houses I have to sell. Now, I will sell some houses this year that are well above. I don't know the contract already, they're above that average price.
Right.
However, if I say this is what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bust my butt to do that. And if I don't, then I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna say, I gave it my all, right? You know, if it doesn't happen, things come up, whatever, but like, there's not gonna be a lot that I'm going to allow to get in my way to get there.
Caitlin, you had
Piggybacking off of that and answering your question, I am did anyone apply to college with the whole like reach school versus like it's okay if I made it here school and you'd still be happy? I have that with my goals, right? So I told y'all I don't want to do like 30, 50, whatever sales. My happy goal is 20. I'd be happy, but it wouldn't be ideal, is somewhere around 17, 18, and anything over 20, I'm like, I'm the best person on this planet. So a range, and based on, again, we're talking about, Lauren mentioned off of the income, this is what I need to make, so on and so forth. I don't want myself to backslide from the year before, but again, I give myself that wiggle room of knowing, okay, if I make just this much after taxes, okay, people, then they'll okay. But if I make anything after that, I'm going to Disney, okay? That's where my mind is.
Well, and the other important part of that when you're setting goals is that everything can't be transactional, and you'll learn from different people. Like people would always say, how much volume did you do? I have no idea. I keep up with the amount of people I work with. I don't keep up with how much money I make. I know that about myself, but I'm okay with that. And the same thing, you guys figure out what's important to you. Is it important to you? What are you working for? Is it so you can take that family trip? Is it so you can pay your house off? Or ... And so that's why I also tell people to do a but I did list. So if you didn't hit your goals, but I did do this. I may not have done as much as I wanted to professionally last year, but I did open another real estate school. But I did do, and make sure you're giving yourself credit for the things you didn't even know you were capable of when you were setting those goals. Yes, Nicole.
Grace. Yeah.
That's right.
Really give yourself some grace. Like I've really learned how about this life. Life is life. And if you do 18 transactions, that's amazing.
No,
And if you do 17 transactions, that's good. If you do 10 transactions,
if you do more than one, you do more than 70% of real estate agents.
Right.
especially in the beginning, like give yourself some grace.
I always say shoot for the moon and hope to land amongst the stars. Yes, Nicole.
The question from the Zoom was a new agent considering hosting a home buyer seminar. Do any of you have any suggestions for materials to cover?
Who's the agent line? Who's everybody?
Get a lender to sponsor,
I was just gonna say
and you have to have
that.
something of value other than just.
You
the
gotta give them
information.
something.
Give them a TV, give them, get them 30, 2,500 closing costs. You have to have something for them to show up, like that's just unfortunately the society we've created. Give away hurricanes tickets, give away something of value that's the society that we live in now. People aren't gonna do something and go out of their way unless there's really something.
Like a drawing for hurricane.
That's right.
Well, everybody, you all in this room know somebody that's connected somewhere. I don't care if it's at the smoothie store around the corner. You all know somebody that will give you something as a tax write-off.
Yeah.
So you do, everybody does, like, so financially, like, I mean, I've done that on open houses where everybody's put in $100 and we've done a community-wide open house and it was a $500 giveaway. It exposed the house. We didn't sell any of those houses that weekend, but I picked up clients at those open houses. So, but if you're just getting started, we all know somebody that will donate something.
And I'm good. I've heard success stories about the buyer seminars. You know, the number one thing is you have to stay in constant communication with people to get them to show up. The other thing you have to keep in mind is most buyers think they know everything already. They don't know what they don't know, and they're definitely not going to show up for you to tell them that they don't know as much as they think they know. And so not only that, but they know they're walking into pretty much like fish shooting in a barrel that somebody's just going to try to sell them something. So we even have with our client appreciation events, the first couple of years, we'd have people like stick their head in. They're like, is this like a timeshare thing? Do I need to, are y'all going? And we're like, no, we're literally just giving you dinner. We wanted to see you and tell you thank you. But even our clients were skeptical. Why are you bringing me here and feeding me and what is it for? And so you've got to really get into their brain and get into the why you are doing a buyer seminar to begin with. We know that buyers need to be educated. We know they don't know 10% of what they think they know, but we need to figure out how to explain that to them to get them here.
EXP has a great platform now, especially that we've incorporated with Canva. So it's like there's a whole buyer template right there in Canva, but even more so, like, again, if you're diving into the platform, you can go into your EXP and there are so many materials that are geared for first-time home buyers, which you can literally pair with a lender and say, let's present this, because that's really all it is. Like, the lender needs to talk about the finances. It's not your job to talk about finances as much, like, because you're held to a standard of it comes out of your mouth and it doesn't happen, guess what? Who's in trouble? You are not. So incorporating that and using the resources, like, I mean, it can be amazing. Even if two people come, what if one of them buys?
Yeah.
It can pay for itself.
I have a good question for everybody in the room. Doesn't matter where you're at in the business. How do you stay motivated and maintain consistency even during slower periods in the market? And it sounds crazy because they've only been in like 4 minus years, but it's important because I feel like this is where it's the make or break for people. This is why that 18 months tends to be whether or not they're going to stay or go in the industry. And if you haven't heard that statistic, most agents get out within the first 18 months of real estate.
My slow season is actually when I'm the hungriest, so I am working the hardest, I would say, comparatively to obviously when you're working with multiple clients at the same time. So it's a different type of I'm working the hardest because I am working leads that they sort of fall on the wayside while I'm working with clients who are actively shopping and under contract, right? So there is an ebb and flow in the way that I process through this. But when I have a down time, that is when I am picking up new clients. I know that leaves a gap.
Stick to a schedule, no matter what, slow or busy. Same schedule, same routine every day, and you can't worry about instant gratification. I work with a lot of people that I found my niche is more like building. I have a lot of clients that like to build a custom home. And I mean, there's no instant gratification. I've got one that still has not closed, and we've been under contract for over a year out in Chapel Ridge. And their architectural board is a nightmare out there. So if I had bet only on that one closing, because that's a big one, right? Like that's gonna be the biggest close of my career today. Then what would I do? Like, you can't, there's no instant gratification. I got this, I nurture, I do my check-ins, and guess what? I move on to the next and the next. And you're always working something so you never feel slow. Whether the market doesn't dictate your schedule, you dictate it. The market, I don't care what the market's doing today. I just put a listing up and I just put one under contract. You can't tell me that 7% interest rate is really, oh, we're so slow. But I got up today and I did my things in my schedule and I treat it like it's a 9 to 5 job. 9 to 9 job.
Yeah, I mean, you have to control what you can control. Turn off the outside,
Mhm.
like turn off social media, like you just have to stay in your bubble. If you do the activities, the results will come. You,
Low market or not.
yeah, I mean, you can make excuses or you can make deals, you know? Like last year, the first quarter, I closed 2 deals. And I went to Holly in April and I was like, what do I do? This is the end, right? And they were like, So, I'm like,
Good try.
yeah, like a swift kick in the ass, like,
We said, get back out there.
yeah. So it's not about all this other stuff that we look for and answers and, oh, this didn't close because this or this, that it's answers you.
For every
You have to
10,
do the deal.
you're gonna walk away with maybe 1 for every 10. You're not talking enough, you're not doing enough. And if you feel like you are doing enough, but the results aren't showing it, then you're not doing enough. And it's okay if you don't want to do that. But that's what it takes. So if you're not talking and not having the conversations and not telling, Tina Cole says you have to have 50 conversations a day. Well, I don't know about you, I'm probably gonna listen to her. Like, I mean, that's what she says, right? Look at what she's built. Now, I don't want to be Tina Cole, and I don't have enough time to be Tina Cole. This is like a second, career for me. But I do know that I'm going to have that many conversations because, like, I'm going to give my card out, and that person's not going to call me. But I'm going to plant that seed. I'm going to plant that seed. I'm going to keep on rolling, and I'm not going to sit there and wait for them. Oh man, but I gave my card to 5 people and they didn't call. No, they're not going to call. But 1 is going to stick. You're going to sit at 10 open houses and 2 people are going to come through. But guess what? On a Sunday afternoon, you're going to be on number 11, beginning of 2023, and that's going to be a couple. And guess what? You're going to get 3 transactions out of it. 2 sells and a buy for a $900,000 house that they're building. That's what you're going to get. And you're going to look at it and you're going to say, all right, that's worth it. That just literally made it worth my time. Because I just got 3 clients because I continue to persevere. You cannot wait for instant gratitude. You're never going to get it in this business. You're never going to get it. It's never going to come. You got to do things.
No,
Sorry.
no,
You gotta do things every day that make you feel good about you as an agent. So like I used to think like in the slower periods, I'd have a great conversation with a lender. Or a friend of a friend would reach out and be like, hey, I just really loved that reel that you posted. And I found the joy in that. And I got my instant gratification from that when the business wasn't coming. You have to find other things that make you feel good. It can't just be, oh, I got another one under contract. Oh, now I'm going to be okay. You can't, if you find your self-esteem in that, you won't make it.
So mine, last year, I keep referring back to last year because last year really was insane. In March, I had nothing. I remember I called my husband. I said, I have nothing under contract. I don't know what's happening. I'm doing the stuff. I'm doing the work. Like I've never not been busy. And I was like, I mean, it is what it is. I might quit. We'll see. But then ended up getting almost 40. I actually put 39, but some fell through. Couldn't save them. So 36. Anyway. But I kind of just like what everyone's saying. You gotta keep showing up. Just keep going. Just keep calling. Keep making connections, planting seeds. It'll come eventually. And again, people are gonna see it because I remember like on my stories. I almost felt like a community in a weird way. But I would go on and it's like, all right, guys, say I'm cold calling. The goal is to set an appointment. And that's another thing too. When you're calling, don't just call. Try to set an appointment. That's my thing. I'm gonna set an appointment immediately. Even if it's I have somebody now that we were going through our buckets, whatever, it's back from a lead from 2021. And I was like, hey, would you guys like to come to the office? I'll give you something tangible. We have a folder that's like has like a booklet, a map, and that's just a way for me to meet them. And they're like, okay, I know you. Like we build that trust, and then we start looking at houses, and they'll probably go under contract in the next couple of weeks or so. But just keep doing the work. And when you're calling, try to set an appointment. See if they'll meet you for coffee. And tell them it's super casual. I just want to give you something tangible. Do you guys give anything out?
Yeah.
Just say that that's definitely going to be a resource. So you want to give you something tangible, and then go over it like again, first time homebuyers, I think. Just like these are the questions that I typically ask. Go over that, and it'll you just plant that seed.
I show up at the whole consult. I show up at the whole buyer consult. I'm like, hey, you want to get together for coffee? They don't know it's not going to be 15 minutes. I show up at the whole laptop. I'm like, hey, you were interested? And then I just open up and I'm like, just ask me questions. We're just, They do, then they leave with something tangible. I give them some printouts, obviously they walk away with their.
Yeah.
And then some information because also
in there.
it's just here, right there in the folder, don't forget, when you sign, take a picture, there you go. You know, and then there's some other sheets in there. Lauren had a good one that I started using. It's like a buyer net sheet, cost sheet, which I really love. And I love being able to show that to clients because everybody asks, especially first time buyers, how much? How much do I put for a deposit? How much is an inspector? How much are closing costs? And instead of just rattling off numbers that they're going to forget and feel overwhelmed by, I go through it one at a time down the list and they're like, oh.
Well, a
That's
lot of them
not
don't
so
know that they have to pay $495 for an appraisal. I sure didn't.
That's right.
We bought a house. I was like, but the lender said I just had to, what is this now? Like, I don't understand. But I mean, yeah.
I love that sheet too, because I use it reassuringly to show people, this is what you could end up paying. But reminder, we're gonna ask the seller to
Yeah.
cover this and this and this. And they're like, oh, okay. So now that we're showing them stuff that might get taken away from that load, they're like, oh, and I've provided value.
Yes.
And I've showed that I'm gonna work hard for them so they don't have to pay those costs. Because I do my very best to follow up on that.
Final closing statement, is all I'm gonna say, and then if anybody's willing to stay, I'm happy for y'all to do some more Q&A with them. I want to respect everybody's time. This is a very normal market that we're in. Anybody in here who's feeling like this is slow, I hate to tell you, this is not slow. I had my license right before the recession, and I didn't go to the company that I ended up being at because there was so many big agents there. I was like, I'm gonna get just brushed under the rug. And then the recession happened, and I ended up there anyway because half the offices around here closed. And so it was so busy. There was so many agents. I was sitting in a hallway, and all I remember hearing is all these top producing agents that I'd looked up to for years, walking around like, this sucks. This sucks. All they were doing was talking about how the phone wasn't ringing, and I didn't see any of them getting in their car and going anywhere. I didn't see any of them getting on the phones and making cold calls. I saw them doing no work to help themselves because they had been used to a market where everything was just bringing it to them. And I didn't know anything different other than I had a 2-year-old I had to feed and no money and a lot of bills. And so I was doing just like they talked about 2 open houses. Bedtimes, I would do an open house from 11 to 1 and then another one from 12 to 2. And I would just keep signs in my car all the time.
Yeah.
And I just hustled and I rose through the ranks and quickly became a top producer there. And everybody else was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing what I thought y'all have been doing all these years. And they did, but they stopped. When the market stopped, they stopped. And I didn't have a choice. I had to dig that much deeper. And so that is why I excelled. So when you're looking at this, and I know you're hearing it, you're hearing other agents say it's a slow market, it's a this. No, it's not. 7% interest rates are nothing. Bought my house in 2002. My interest rate was 8.5%. And no nickels to rub together and still bought a house. I could buy a house. Anybody could buy a house at that time. And so it's all about your perspective, and your perspective is what the buyers need to hear, not the national perspective.
Can I add to that? I think this is actually in perspective. Obviously, I don't have the long career that April does, but in hindsight, I think this is actually a great time to start real estate because we are post-pandemic, which everyone has got used to. And now I actually can tell people we are not doing that anymore. We're not going 50 over asking most of the time, right? We're not offering 10K deposits most of the time. Okay, there's the exception to the rule, but like my average clients, we don't live that life. We come in under and we get the earnest money so they can walk away if they need to. Like, I think it's actually great because now we're more in control, and a lot of people are scared because they think it's still the pandemic, and I can tell them we're not. It's not like that in most instances.
Well, if you're not super busy right now, and just a last little bit here, I remember calling April and it was like after my first year and I had done 20 deals that first year. Justin and I made a deal that we were going to sell 20 houses our first year of real estate. We got our license at the same time. We exceeded that. We went and treated ourselves when we were in Vegas last year. And that was something that him and I had worked all year, like motivating each other, like iron sharpens iron, right? So then I call April, we're like, oh my God, I'm so slow. And she's like, Lauren, he's like, what do you need to do around the house? Do you have anything going on? Like, it's not going to like, you just keep doing what you're doing and then take the downtime to do a couple things that,
Mhm.
so I was like, oh, all right, well, I mean, I have not cleaned my closet out in like 2 years. And it's like, so I did these little projects around the house, found that fulfillment. The business will come if you do the same thing every day, but don't let the business run your life to the point that the rest of your life is like in shambles. And you're not meal prepping and you're not doing the things that you need to do because you're just sitting there waiting for the business because you think you're doing everything you need to do.
Very good.
Love it, you guys. I mean, it's 12:08, so can we give them a big hand? A lot of wisdom was dropped. I want to get a picture with everybody.
Oh,
before
yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm a small fry on the.
I know, I love that because especially how it's not everybody on my wants to be a learner once.
That's right, and it has taken me that last year to really come to the peaceful soul. Well, because yeah, I got my life.
Y'all are at the same time.
I thought, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not happy? It's reminding me.
Tracy and I don't run the same thing for a reason.
We have.
Right.
So I like to remind you, I don't know. But I don't know if I know that.
Not everybody, not everybody does.
And that's right. Yeah, so I was reminded of that.
No, and it's really good because, you know, I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. The industry makes us feel like, okay, you gotta do this. Now you gotta go sell this many homes. When you sell this many homes, now you gotta be a team leader. And when you become a team leader, you gotta go be a broker owner. And I did that. I ran that rat race and I was like, my goodness, it's exhausting why I'm even doing this. And the profit is not here like everybody else. It is. So I'm like, now I needed to take a step back and figure out what am I really and I bigger about building other people's careers. I'm there to live in a $2 million home. I'm gonna do that. I wouldn't want to do that.
I still. I just. That's like, sorry, I never. I'm clearly doing something,
But actually,
Going back to how she was a really nice. Keep doing it. Let's do it. Just look the butt.
There's the girl in our chart. Will looks like. Oh, yeah.
That's one. Well,
Same thing. What's that? Right.
I'm glad I'm.
Yeah. No,